The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and it's time for Case's movie review. So, Case the producer, if you've just joined the show and don't know exactly why we're doing Dazed and Confused, a movie that came out in 1993, is because Case the producer, at 25 years old, I got tired of making movie references and him never getting any of them because he's never seen any movies. His favorite movie is Boys in the Hood. Great movie, but that's the only movie he'd seen. Now he's seen a plethora of them in the last 3 months, like Shawshank, The Matrix, some of the biggest movies. And you're a better person, right?
I'd like to think so. I really enjoy doing this. I always thought I didn't like watching movies. Turns out a lot of them are pretty good.
Shocking.
Hot take.
Yeah. Oh, brave of you.
Well, thank you.
Well, so it came to the point of you're doing Dazed and Confused with Matthew McConaughey, among other people in this movie. And Ben Affleck. I forgot Ben Affleck is in this as a small role as well.
I don't think he looks like him in this movie, so I didn't realize it was him until almost the very end.
You got people like Cole Hauser that went on to many things. Joey Lauren Adams was on the Jay and Silent Bob movies.
Parker Posey, who we'll talk about in just a second.
Yeah, there was a lot. Adam Goldberg, who went on to be in like Saving Private Ryan, a movie you should have probably watched this week with Memorial Day. I should have thought of that.
Oh, sorry.
Damn. But Matthew McConaughey was nobody when this movie came out. In fact, there's a story behind that. But first, let's just take you back to when Dazed and Confused came out. Here is the trailer from 1993.
The country is founded by people who were in the aliens, man. George Washington, man, he was in a cult. And the cult was in the aliens, man. You didn't know that? No. Oh, man, they were way into that type of stuff, man.
It was the first day of summer vacation.
You guys know anything about a party here tonight?
No, sir.
It was a time they will never forget.
There's a new Fiesta in the making as we speak.
I thought he was cute.
Oh, that's this. You thought he was cute? Then.
Do you realize when he graduated, we were like 3 years old?
If only they could remember it.
Okay.
So you're not going to go to law school? What do you want to do then?
I want to dance.
Dazed and Confused. See it with a bud.
Behind every good man, there's a woman. And that woman was Martha Washington, man. And every day George would come home, she'd have a big fat bowl waiting for him, man, when he'd come to the door, man. She was a hip lady, man.
Oh, it's so good to hear these trailers, man.
Now, was that Lee Schreiber's voice?
No, it was not. No, not in this one. Not in this movie.
I'm never going to get to hear it.
Oh, it's a movie. This is why I just don't think you. I'll get your opinion in a second. I just think you don't like it because it's a bunch of people hanging out having a good time.
I mean, how fun was that trailer? Did you see Case getting beat red just with anger? All these people having fun.
All right, Case. So what do you got?
Do you want me to start with the good or the bad?
Start with the good of Dazed and Confused. Your take on it.
This movie does one thing that I really, really liked that I thought was interesting, which is that it accurately portrays the transfer of power when you're a high school junior that becomes an incoming high school senior, and all of a sudden you think you own the world, that you're the top dog, that you really matter more than everybody else. I obviously haven't seen a lot of movies, but the thing I liked about this was I feel like whenever you watch Dazed and Confused, you can point to people in your own life that are all of these characters. And I remember going to high school with a lot of people that were very like reserved juniors, and then they became a senior and they thought they were top dog.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that was. And this whole movie is based around that idea. I really liked that.
Okay, good. I think that's pretty accurate because everybody has a Wooderson, the guy from high school that still hangs out around high school that graduated like 6 years ago.
Well, I peeked there.
Yeah.
And then they come in, they're like, man, this is lockers in the same spot. This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And a Randall Pink Floyd, the quarterback, and
a tortured athlete, somebody who feels like they're forced to play sports also, which is an interesting thing.
yeah, weird side thing on him on that
Yeah.
one because you thought he'd be this total jock who he can hang with, but he also could hang with the nerds and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I had a friend like that in high school who was friends with me and then friends with smart kids and then friends with jocks. And I would ask him, I go, why are you friends with me? I don't understand. Like, you have cooler friends than me. It's like, nah, I just get along with everybody, man. It's fine.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
so
so
I
good.
really
So he's
like
just a
that.
good person to bully people.
He was a good person.
And you're like, what's wrong with you?
Kind of.
Yikes.
Stay in your group.
Yeah, please.
Stay in your one group.
We're all
Case-
supposed to be in separate groups.
We like segregation. Case was pro segregation.
In a weird way, Dazed and Confused was like the Breakfast Club version. That was the 80s, and Dazed and Confused was like the 70s.
I haven't seen The Breakfast Club, so I don't know.
I know. That's on.
My heavens.
That's got to be on the list.
My heavens.
I can't.
All right, what's the bad of Dazed and Confused?
This whole town is just obsessed with spanking people. It's the weirdest thing. This whole movie is based around these 18-year-old boys that are like, I gotta spank this 15-year-old. I gotta get him.
Well, when you say it like that.
It's the weirdest thing.
You know what? Kenzie, he's really, I haven't seen it in a long time, but he's kind of right when you think about it the first time watching it now. It is a weird arc of the movie where they try to spank the other
They're
kids.
just having a good old time. You gotta ruin it.
The freshmen leave this high school and they're like, well, here's our summer. We're going to get spanked. And so they try to race home and there are seniors running after them trying to spank them. Yeah. And then
Case, don't make it weird. Okay.
I like that. You know, one of the kids gets home and the mom whips open the front door and she's got a shotgun. She's pointing a shotgun at these teenagers because she's like, you're not going to spank my son. And then later, I started thinking about Kenzie when I was watching this because, like, you have a 10-year-old son right now.
Please do tell.
Yeah, no, hear me out on this one. You have a 10-year-old son who plays baseball, and there's a chance, and I know this is what the family wants, that eventually he'll become a high school baseball player.
Not the whole family.
Kenzie's been to enough games. She's good.
It's a house divided, if you will.
Yeah.
Think about if your son was a freshman in high school. He's on the pitcher's mound, and all of a sudden a group of seniors come into the stands with a paddle and are like, hey, after the game, your ass is mine.
And they mean that, his ass. Because they're going to spank his ass with a paddle.
I'd be like, let's do it during the game and get this thing wrapped up. Or are we going to play the whole thing?
There is a lot of bullying in this movie, like with those guys, and then the girls that haze the freshmen.
So
girls?
The girls are interesting because the ringleader in the early scene where they're spraying ketchup and mustard on these freshmen is Parker Posey. And full transparency, I have a huge crush on her. I think she's one of the coolest people to ever exist. And I got excited when I saw that she was in this because I only know her from TV shows. I had never seen her in a movie before.
What shows was she on?
She was on Louie, which was Louis C.K.'s show.
Oh,
And she plays like a cool New York, like mysterious girlfriend. And I just fell in love with her there. So I was like, oh, great. This is going to be a movie about Parker Posey. She's got a ton of dialogue and feature in the early part of this movie. And then after she puts ketchup and mustard on some freshman girls, she largely just disappears, which I thought was super disappointing. I really wanted more of her character in it because I thought she was funny. I thought she was interesting. I'd like to know how she interacted with, like, the boys, but it just doesn't really happen. That was a huge letdown.
Well, have you seen Josie and the Pussycats?
No.
Big role in there if you want to see her talk more.
Oh, good to know. All right, add us on the list.
If you need more Parker Posey.
I do. God, I love her.
I mean, the hero of this movie did become Wooderson, which is Matthew McConaughey,
Yes.
who was a production guy on the movie. And then he just started doing Wooderson, and the director finally said the guy they hired for Wooderson is like, oh, no, Matthew McConaughey is Wooderson. Sorry, you're out. And that was his first movie role, and his best speech. This is one of his, first, of course, all right.
Which is very cool.
And then this one from the football field, is that what this is?
Yeah, this is one of the last scenes of the movie, but I just like the way that he delivered this so much that I want to put this in here.
Let me tell you this. The older you do get, the more rules are going to try to get you to follow. You just got to keep living, man. Livin.
Man, if you're gonna sign that paper, man, you should throw a little grass right in the middle, man. Roll it up, sign the joint, man. That's gonna tell them something.
That's what I'll do. Yeah.
I like the end of that, too, just because it really fits the theme of the movie.
And maybe there's someone out there that hasn't seen it. They're talking about a paper the athletes had to sign that say they wouldn't do drugs or drink, which I remember signing that in high school sports,
I had
too.
to.
Yeah.
I wasn't even in sports, really.
Yeah. No, you told us you were a lacrosse player.
I did everything for like a season. It wasn't like a committed.
Like a code of conduct paper you had to sign.
Yes.
Yeah. So
the premise of the movie, a lot of it is that, to not sign that paper.
So Wooderson's a very funny character. I like him a lot, but he raises a question that I guess I have because he represents a larger issue in the movie, and maybe you guys can speak to this. And it's not his love of underage girls. We're going to skip past that. That's an issue, but we all know that's an issue.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. We didn't know.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
love them high school girls, man. I get older, but they stay the same age.
Yeah, we just had no idea. It was like concussions.
That's what Brian's bumper sticker on his cars.
How about that line?
It's a good movie.
How about that line in that movie, man?
I'd really rather not think about it.
But it did define who Wooderson was.
Oh, 100%. But here's the thing. Like, this movie all takes place over one day. And do these kids just have nothing to do? The whole movie, for those that haven't seen it, it's a bunch of kids getting into various cars, drinking various beer at various locations.
Well, sounds like a busy day.
Every scene is, I'm going to get into this car and drink a beer here. And then I'm going to go over here in this car and I'm going to drink a beer here. Why do they have nothing to do?
It was a better time. There was no internet. There was no phones. You had to go outside to go.
You had to go find people.
Like the whole, in the movie, the party gets canceled.
Yeah.
They can't figure out how to get another party started and why that party got canceled.
This is what I was trying to figure out was, how did all the kids know that the party got canceled? Because there was supposed to be a party at a house.
Word of mouth, baby. It traveled fast.
It'd be like Kenzie's surprise party. You know, everybody just knew where it was going. Nope, they had to go to the house and get threatened by the dad.
Yeah.
It just really captured a moment of what that life was. And the funny part is the director, Richard Linklater, he got sued like 10 years later by all the guys of the characters of the movie, the real life people they were based on, like Wooderson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Wooderson and Randall Pink Floyd. And I think the guy that played Slater, the real stoner, he's the guy's like, George Washington, man. Washington, to see Martha had a big fat joint waiting for him every time he came home. They all sued him because they said he made them look like potheads, and that's all they were. Well, they were. They all grew up together, and they were potheads. And sorry, they grew up to be like lawyers.
The movie's great. Why does it bother you?
If I was in a movie, if I was in Dazed and Confused, I'm like, hell yeah, I used to be cool. It's awesome.
It's just so weird to me that I never lived without pre-internet. I really don't remember a time. Like, I had a cell phone in 5th grade. I don't really remember a time before cell phones. It's just so weird, just everybody's loitering and lingering at all of these various locations.
I feel very grateful because I am 29 and I got both, which is really, really nice. I'm the one generation that grew up for a long time without it and then like got to high school and had it, which is good because it's like at least I know how to use everything, but then also I got to not have it. I can 10 out of 10 confirm life was much better phone and everything, because I remember enjoying my life, and then I got one, and I'm like, so I'm just gonna get bullied for the rest of my life. This is not good. I would like to return this, please.
Since I'm only a little older than you, Kenzie, just a little bit, that I remember high school without the internet, and it was much like, even though it wasn't the 70s, but it was much like this vibe where like you just went to someone's house and said, hey, what do you want to do? I don't know. Let's figure something out.
All right, let's drive around.
Let's get in a car. Let's drive over to Jeff's house. All right, let's see what's going on over there. As we just did that.
I wouldn't leave my house without specific plans of what we're going to do. I'm not driving around with anybody.
Find people. You don't understand, kids. You have to find people.
Yep. Case wanted a PDF of what they were going to do for the concert before the concert.
What sucked is that people couldn't really confirm or deny very often. So sometimes you'd plan something, and obviously everyone was just late or decided they couldn't show up day of, which happens, and you get a text, right?
Yeah.
No, you would just be there, and no one would come.
I'd be irate. I wouldn't be able to handle that.
Yeah, so you're like, I guess you'd wait. How many times did you wait for people and be like, okay, I probably have a message at home, so let me just leave.
That's such a good point, because if you went to like a concert, you were supposed to meet somebody, they didn't show up. Today, you'd think they were dead if they didn't text you.
Right.
But back then, you were like, I remember seeing my buddy the next day. He's like, no, I hooked up with Michelle. I saw her over the Dairy Queen, and we just hang out.
So you would just leave people.
You'd bail on plans.
I can't count the amount of times I waited at a coffee shop or a movie theater.
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess I'll just go in. I guess I'll just leave with my drink. And when I get home or see them in a week, I'll find out what happened.
Yup.
iPads are pretty cool, guys. I don't know. I'm pretty happy to go with an iPad.
So, Dazed and Confused, what kind of rating do you give it before we leave here?
Out of 10, I guess I'd give it 6 joints out of 10 joints.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's fun. I don't know if it's good as much as it is fun. It's almost like a Bloodhound Gang album where it's like, well, it's not the best music I've ever heard, but I see what they're doing. I kind of like this.
Oh, my God. Okay, we'll take that. That's
I'm fine. Look.
All your reviews, by the way, should be joints. It should be like 6 joints out of 10, 7 joints out of 10. It doesn't matter what movie. For Saving Private Ryan, it should be a joint rating. All right, listen, coming up here at 8:20, just 5-6 minutes away, you want to get in the Shinedown Lounge. It is Monday. Brent Smith of Shinedown going to perform live. And it's also part of we'll be in June then, but the end of a Mental Health Awareness Month. It's going to be an incredible panel discussion and performance. Very exclusive. Brent Smith wanted to do this with our Q101 listeners and for you. So coming up here in just about 5 minutes, we'll get you into the Q101 Lounge with Shinedown.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.